The naming customs of Hispanic America are similar to the Spanish naming customs practiced in Spain, with some modifications to the surname rules. Many Hispanophones in the countries of Hispanic America have two given names, plus a paternal surname and a maternal surname. In Chile and Mexico, the following terms are used instead of first surname and second surname for the paternal and maternal surname, respectively apellido paterno and apellido materno. Colonial Hispanic America. In the colonial period and 19th century, it was common to have between 1 and 3 given names followed by a second name with a de in front. For example, the St. Teresa de los Andes, whose real name is Juana Enriqueta Josefina de los Sagrados Corazones Fernández del Solar, where Juana Enriqueta and Josefina are her first names followed by the second name, de los Sagrados Corazones. Her paternal surname is Fernández and her maternal surname is del Solar. Another form of second name can be preceded by a de particle, which can be varied to del or de los. Examples are José del Pilar, Rosa del Carmen, Fidelina de las Mercedes. These second names are only used in formal occasions, and in many cases only registered in the birth, marriage and death certificates. Modern day. Since the late 20th century, owing to U.S. influence, many Hispanic Americans have been baptized with English rather than Spanish given names. Children that are not recognized by their father have been legally treated in two ways, changing from time to time according to the civil registration norms. One way is to be registered with only a first surname that is the mother's surname. The second way is to have the mother's surname as first surname and second surname. These are known as natural children. Another case is to only register the father's surname, not giving importance to the mother. This happened in the early 20th century. Chile and Mexico, instead of primer apellido and segundo apellido, common in other countries, legally, the following expressions are used: apellido paterno and apellido materno. Although a woman may socially use the marital conjunction de, it is omitted in her legal name. For example, a former First Lady Marta Laricchia very often is called Marta Laricchia de Fry, but her full legal name remains Marta Laricchia Bolivar. As another example, Soledad Alvia is almost never called Soledad Alvia de Martinez. Her full legal name is Maria Soledad Alvia Valenzuela. Cuba and Nicaragua. In Cuba and in Nicaragua, both men and women carry the two family names. Both are equally important and are mandatory for any official document. Married women never change their original family names for the husbands, even when they migrate to other countries where this is a common practice. Many prefer to adhere to the heritage and keep the maiden name. Ecuador. In Ecuador, a couple can choose the order of their children's surnames. Most choose the traditional order, but some invert the order, putting the mother's paternal surname first and the father's paternal surname last. Such inversion, if chosen, must be consistent for all children of the marriage. Uruguay. Legally in Uruguay, the use is of two surnames, first the paternal surname, then the maternal surname. For example, Natalia Marisa Orrero Iglesias is the daughter of Carlos Florencio Orrero Poggio and Mabel Cristina Iglesias Buria. Since 2013, parents may invert this order by mutual agreement at the naming of the first child of the couple. Subsequent children must be named following the same order. If there's no agreement on the order, in the case of heterosexual couples, the father's surname will be placed first and the mother's second. Same-sex parents may choose the order of both surnames by mutual agreement. In case of disagreement, the order of the surnames is determined by draw. Once the order of the surnames has been established, it cannot be changed. Venezuela. In August 2007, a draft law by the Venezuelan National Electoral Council thus sought to change the national Venezuelan naming customs. Civil Registry Organic Law Project. Limitation upon the inscription of names. Article 106 will not permit to place names that expose them to ridicule, that are extravagant or difficult to pronounce in the official language, that contain familiar and colloquial variants that denote a confused identification, or that generate doubts about the determination of the sex. In these cases, the registrar will offer, as reference, a listing of the most common names and surnames. The names of boys, girls, or adolescents of the country's indigenous ethnic groups and the names of foreigners' children are excepted from this disposition. Popular complaint against the naming custom limiting Article 106 compelled the Venezuelan National Electoral Council to delete it from the Civil Registry Organic Law Project. It could be said that common names like Elvio Lado or Monica Galindo would count as an example of violation to this law. In some instances, such as high society meetings, and with no legal value, the husband's surname can be added after the woman's surnames using the conjunction de. Thus, Leocadia Blanco Alvarez, married to a Pedro Perez Montilla, may be addressed as Leocadia Blanco de Perez or as Leocadia Blanco Alvarez de Perez. This format is not used in everyday settings and has no legal value. In other nations, doing so is frowned upon. The contemporary naming custom now practices the wife retaining her surname. The use of the husband's surname by a wife is typically encountered in social situations where the connection to the husband is being stressed. A full formal married name is the documentary convention in only some Latin American countries. Where it exists, the custom provides her with ceremonial life and death wife names. Angela Lopez, S.R.A. de Portillo, wherein S.R.A. connotes wife, and Angela Lopez Sáenz, V.D.A. de Portillo, wherein V.D.A. denotes widowhood. Some names have the de conjunction without association to marriage at all. Instead, they may reflect the geographical origin of the individual or that of the individual ancestors. Thus, there are men named Juan Ponce de Leon, José de Guzmán Benítez, and Oscar de la Renta. Legal implications. The Hispanic preference for using the first surname from the father over the second surname from the mother occasionally results in serious legal problems in English-speaking countries such as the United States, whose laws operate on the assumption that each person has a first name, middle name, and last name, where the last name is normally inherited solely from the father and is assumed to be the only surname. For example, in a 2006 decision from one of the California Courts of Appeal, it was held that a creditor had failed to perfect its security interest in the strawberry crop of a debtor whose full true name was Armando Munoz Juarez. Quote, in accordance with Mexican naming convention, he frequently went by Armando Munoz and signed documents by that name, and the creditor's financing statement therefore referred to him as Armando Munoz. The court ruled that his last name did not change when he crossed the border into the United States. The naming convention is legally irrelevant. In other words, under the California implementation of the Uniform Commercial Code, the debtor's true last name was Juarez. Indexing. According to the Chicago Manual of Style, Spanish and Hispanophone names are indexed by the family name. In case there are two family names, the indexing is done under the father's family name. This would be the first element of the surname if the fathers and mothers are husbands. Family names are joined by Y. Depending upon the person involved, the particle there may be treated as a part of a family name or it may be separated from a family name. The indexing of Hispanophone names differs from that of Portuguese of Lusophone names, where the indexing occurs from the final element of the name.